I'd like to welcome everybody to Keystroke Live today. We're going to be covering search and replace. It's a database function. Remember, Keystroke Live, same time, same place every week. Different topics, whether generally related to the keystroke software or the POS industry. First Monday or Wednesday of the month is our president, Michael Gebb. So he was just last week, so you get to see him in a few more weeks. So we're going to talk about search and replace. It's really a powerful feature. Also can be dangerous. So you want to be very careful with it, but it really helps you. It can help you maintain your database or make global changes rather easily rather than individually changing each record. It's designed to replace data in fields based on specific search conditions. It is replacing, it's not editing. You can't partially replace a field. For example, if your description contains a certain word and you want to change that word, you can't do that. That's more, if you want to do something like that, it's going to require something like exporting and re-importing. So remember, you have to replace the whole field. Our help information in this case is great. It's got detailed information on various search operators and replacement formulas. And believe me, I use this almost every day helping people because there's a lot of things to remember when doing search and replace. And I'm going to show you some of those help screens in a second. Some things with search and replace: always have a backup. That way, if you do something strange or it doesn't work, you can immediately restore your backup. And even just the one file, you can restore just the inventory or just the customers. When you're first setting this up, you want to replace just one or two records. Make sure your search criteria is working, your replacement is working. Change a couple records, cancel your search, go back and look at them, make sure they change the way you expected. And then you can run it again. And as long as you stay in Database Manager, all your criteria and replacement information is still going to be there. So you don't have to set it up again as long as you stay in Database Manager. You can also use formulas to calculate the price and or the cost fields, similar to the way you have formulas on your default screens. So that's also available if you want to increase your prices by 5%. Pretty easy to do in search and replace. So we're going to take a look here at Keystroke. And of course, my clerk just changed. And we're going to look at this for inventory. So the example I gave is we want to increase our prices, say 5%. Okay? And the thing with, our database screens, remember there's lots of different database screens. In version 8, there's no restriction or no particular way you need to approach this. In version 7, it got a little tricky because you have to start on the screen where your replace is going to happen. But in version 8, you can change in between screens for your search criteria and your replace criteria. We're going to start with the main screen. And now remember, when you're doing this, find, search, and replace. Pay attention to what's going on in the lower right-hand corner of your window, of your screen. It's a search screen. It's basically blank. You can use F9 to go to whichever field you need. And the other thing to remember is if you put in any search criteria at all, if you put in more than one, the items or the records have to meet all of the criteria. You can't really do an or. You can't say Department of Book or Department of Computer. You do Department of Book, and then you can do Department of Computer later if you want to. So let's give this a little criteria. Speaking, we talked about books, so we are going to do a search on our book department. Okay, that's the only thing I'm going to search on. And what we want to do is increase our prices by 5%. This is where having the help screens can come in very handy. So let me share this screen with you. When you first hit this, it's going to say, search and replace, and it talks about a lot of the things you can do. There are the green underlined areas give you links so you can look at search operators. These are just general operators, whether it's you want to look for a blank field, contains or begins with. So this can come in real handy. But let's go back. What I use quite a bit are either replacement formula screen, help screens. And as you take a look at this, you can see there's operators here, mathematical operators. You have toggle fields. If it's just a little checkbox, you can use either T and F for on or off, 1 or 0, or X and blank. So any of those work if you're searching or doing something on toggle fields. And just like in your default screens for inventory, you can link something or do a formula that is based on another field. Like you can calculate your base price from your last cost if you want to. Remember, you can't do it if you're also changing the last cost at the same time, but that is going to give you lots and lots of flexibility. And you can even do it based on profit margin calculations. The other screen I look at quite a bit are my special search and filter characters, which is just what we looked at before, where you've got all these criteria. So let's go back and look at Keystroke here. And remember, I was on my search screen, I was searching for books. This is my replace screen. So I'm going to give it a formula of, I'm going to take what's in my base price field. The plus just indicates it's a formula. The asterisk means to multiply. I'm going to take that by 1.05, which is basically an increase of 5%. And I want to do that all the way across the board. So I'm just going to go down for all my prices, put in this formula, and I'm hitting F10. It's going to start the process. Confirm change to each record. When you're first doing this, you want to say yes. It's going to find the first item that meets my search criteria, and you want to note what that item is. So this is stock number 51. It's a book, And, you know, I can kind of note one of my prices, $21.98 is my base price. And it asks you down here on the bottom, do I want to update this record? I'm going to say yes. Brings me to the next record that meets this criteria. And I'm going to say yes to that one. But now I want to go back. I want to cancel my search. And I'm going to go back and take a look at these. And I don't have my calculator handy, but it kind of looks like this used to be $21.98 and now it's $23.08. So kind of looks like that worked. And the same is true for the other one. This used to be $9.98, it's $10.48. Yeah, that's about 5%. So as long as you don't leave Database Manager, you can go back to the Find menu, search and replace. Your search criteria is still here. You just hit F10 on that. Your replace criteria is still here. You can hit F10 on that. And now that we know it's working, we don't want to confirm change to each record. Now, our sample data doesn't have that many books, but imagine if you have a database, you know, you're a bookstore, you're going to have thousands. So you're going to say no, it's searched 120 records, and it changed 9 of them that met that criteria. So I just increased all the prices in my book department by 5%. Other things you can do, if you know, I mean, any of these fields, almost anything you can imagine can be done with search and replace. You can do search and replace on any of the databases, whether it's, you know, inventory and customers are probably the most common, possibly vendor, but even on your clerk database, departments, categories, locations, you can do a search and replace. So let's take a look at our customer screen here and say I want to find anybody that I have set up with a 0 credit limit and give them a $100 credit limit. Okay, so I can go to the Find menu. I'm going to go to Search and Replace. I want to find records where the credit limit is 0. And I hit F10 here. Remember, I'm on my search screen. It's just a blank screen, but you can tell it's the search screen by looking in the lower right-hand corner. Hit F10. And I'm going to change this credit limit to be $100 on my replacement screen. So I'm going to hit F10. Yes, I do want to confirm change to each record. Now, our records are kind of strange. You're probably not going to give a customer called walk-in a credit limit because that's just a generic term. It's not an individual person, but we'll just believe that it's somebody. So I'm going to change this record. That was number 1. I'm going to change number 2. Same kind of thing. I'm going to change it. Then I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to cancel. I'm going to go back up. Well, that's strange. It didn't change my credit limit. Let's try that again. Credit limit is 0. Credit limit of 100. Okay, let's just cancel out of this. Well, obviously I didn't try this one. Let's see if I have some search criteria that I'm not aware of. Hmm? That's kind of strange. Well, I'm not going to worry about it. I'll figure it out, and if you're curious, give me a call, and I'll tell you what I figured out why it wasn't working. But I want to open this up for questions a little bit because there's a lot of things that you can do here, and
Lynn?
hold on, I'm getting everybody unmuted here. Yes?
On the one you did, the one we added 5%, and you did the 2, and then you went back. Is
Yes,
that going to?
it would have increased it twice.
Okay, so you would just want to hit no, no, and then do the rest.
Exactly. I could have done that as well.
Okay.
That's a good question. Anybody else?
And there's formulas for doing the 9.99. You'd add to that formula so it would round it to 0.99.
That's not specific with search and replace. That's more a function of the search and update price
Okay.
function, where you update the price based on price formulas where you do have the rounding. So if you want to round your prices, you're not going to probably do the search and replace. You're going to do search and update price with a rounding formula in your price formulas.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, little review here. Powerful, but you want to be careful. They can do all kinds of things that you may not be aware of. So that's why you have a backup. Remember, you're replacing the data in a field. You can't edit the data in the field, like just add a word or change a word in the description. The help files I use every day when somebody asks me about this, because it's just always, you got to look at it really close and make sure you're doing the right thing. Have a backup, change a couple of records, then cancel out of it, take a look. Make sure that it's doing exactly what you want. And then you could go through it again and replace everything.
Hey, Lynn?
Yes.
Hey, can you use search and replace to tag like CRV and tobacco tax that add it to items that are without having to go through each one and
Sure.
adding the tobacco?
Sure.
Really?
If there's a search criteria, something like your department or category or location, certainly you can use that to
change that, like
change
$2
the tax
tax
field or the price code field, anything like that. Certainly.
Great. Perfect.
Any other questions? All right. Thanks, everybody. It's good to be here today. Next week is going to be Mike Tabor with the Summarize History function, and he'll have some good tips on how that's going to help your end users. Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you again. Bye-bye.